Today we're going to take a trip to the heart of Iran's mountains, where one of the world's most mysterious, sensitive, and top-secret facilities is hidden. The Fordo Fuel Enrichment Plant. It's one of the places that the Israelis mention as their first target for attack, and they've aired many documentaries about it on their own networks. Greetings to you all. I'm Ilyas Farkam. This is Persian Trend. And if you're watching us on YouTube or podcast apps, we're going to talk about the secret Fordo facility. And we're going to explore a story full of technology, espionage, and the possible plans of the Israelis together. Imagine a remote place in the middle of dry, rugged mountains, 24 kilometers northeast of Qom, a city we all know for its religious atmosphere. Here, in the heart of these mountains, a facility has been built that is the core of Iran's nuclear program. Its name is Fordo, and it's not just a name but a symbol of Iran's scientific ambition and political tensions. Fordo is the place where uranium, the very material that can be used both to generate electricity and, well, to make nuclear bombs, is enriched. This facility can enrich uranium up to 90%. That is, to the level required for nuclear weapons. Now think about why this issue is so sensitive for the United States, Israel, and even the United Nations. Fordo also has a support site. It's a building outside the mountains that acts like a bridge between the underground world and the outside. But where did the story begin? Let's go back a bit. In 2009, when Western intelligence services suddenly discovered that Iran was building a secret facility in the mountains of Qom, the world was shocked. It was like something out of a James Bond story. Since then, Fordo has become one of the hottest topics in nuclear negotiations, from the JCPOA up to today. In the JCPOA agreement, Iran promised to limit Fordo's activities. But when the US withdrew from the JCPOA in 2018, Iran said, well, then we'll resume enrichment too. And this move reignited tensions once again. Now, Fordo is not just a scientific facility, but also a trump card in the hands of the Islamic Republic for global negotiations. Let's take a virtual tour inside this underground facility. Imagine tall, dark tunnels filled with giant machines spinning at insane speeds. These are gas centrifuges, the beating heart of Fordo. What do? Uranium enrichment. Raw uranium comes from Iran's mines. First, it's converted into a gas called uranium hexafluoride, or UF6. Then this gas goes into the centrifuges, which work like a highly advanced filter. Uranium-235, the material needed for energy or weapons, is separated from uranium-238. To make it simpler, think of it like trying to separate a specific type of coffee bean from a blend. It's a bit complicated, but here's an interesting point. According to documents that Israel stole from that warehouse in Shurabad, Tehran in 2018, yes, in a bizarre espionage operation, they managed to steal these documents and, well, what wasn't supposed to happen, happened. The Israelis found out that Fordo was designed so that uranium would be stored in 48 large containers. These containers are hidden in underground warehouses and are directly connected to the production line. Moreover, reports from the International Atomic Energy Agency also state that Iran has installed 10 new IR-6 centrifuges. These are much more advanced than the older models and can enrich uranium faster and more efficiently. Another important point is that UF6 gas is also being stored in the uranium. What is this gas? It's a substance that's ready to move on to the next stages. So what are these next stages? Whether they want to use it for weapons or for peaceful purposes, I don't know. You probably know better than I do what their purpose is for the UF6 gas. It's a gas that's specifically used for weapons. Fordo isn't just that old facility. Satellite images from 2024 show that Iran has built a new building directly across from the National Vacuum Technology Center. This center is vital for the centrifuge program. Because centrifuges have to operate in a vacuum environment. That means a place where there's no air at all. Why? Because if even a tiny bit of air or contamination gets into the device, the whole process is ruined. This new building is probably for testing newer centrifuges or increasing production capacity. Recently, a fourth gate has also been found behind the mountains of Fordo, which might be an additional access tunnel. Imagine Fordo as an underground fortress with hidden entrances and exits. Now, just picture for a moment that these tunnels are so deep and winding that it feels like you're watching a science fiction movie. This design has practically made these tunnels impenetrable. Or at least that's what we think, that they're impenetrable. Of course, when I say impenetrable, I mean against airstrikes or aerial bombardment. A ground assault is a different story altogether, and honestly, it's even more far-fetched than an air attack. That's why we don't even factor it into our calculations. Imagine an Israeli commando unit trying to be transferred to Qom and from there infiltrate the Fordo site by land, destroy the place, and then make their way back out. It's really far-fetched. Honestly, we just can't include that in our calculations, to put it bluntly. That's exactly why the Westerners are extremely worried about Fordo and are afraid of it. Let's come up from underground for a bit and take a look at the area around Fordo. This facility is located in the middle of a remote mountainous region, a place that's very hard to access. It's near a salt lake called Hawzi Sultan, which shines like a white mirror during the dry seasons. From above, when you look with a drone or satellite, this lake offers a breathtaking view. Now imagine, right next to this lake, 4 uranium enrichment facilities are hidden. Satellite images show that the facilities themselves are hidden inside the hills and underground. But the administrative and logistics buildings are outside and visible. This site functions like a small city, coordinating everything for the underground facilities. Narrow roads, hidden entrances, and guards armed to the teeth. Everything indicates that this is a highly sensitive place. Now that we're talking about sensitivity, let's see how Iran protects this treasure. On January 12, 2025, the second channel of the Islamic Republic of Iran's television broadcast a massive air defense drill at Fordo that left everyone astonished. In this drill, advanced systems like the Kavosh radar and Hawk missiles were showcased. The Hawk missiles, which use old American technology, have been deployed in 3 separate batteries next to the main gate of Fordo. They can hit targets up to 45 kilometers away. Additionally, at least 6 anti-aircraft guns have also been deployed across 3 different areas, which are excellent for countering drones or helicopters. There is another air defense site 10 kilometers east of Fordo, which is equipped with the advanced Najem 804 radar and a Bavar 373 missile battery. The Bavar 373 system is a powerful system and operates with Sayad 4 missiles, which can hit targets up to 100 kilometers away or even farther. In the exercise, they also showed a Khordad 15 launcher connected to the Najem 804 radar, which can detect aircraft or missiles up to 150 kilometers away. This means that anything trying to approach Fordo has to get past this iron shield. An interesting point is that this missile site is located next to an ancient or historical caravanserai. Imagine, one part is a piece of our history and the other part is a piece of our modern military technology. The missile and radar units are also spread out across the open fields southeast of Fordo, and they're designed in such a way that nothing escapes their watchful eyes. And a 4th site has also been set up 9 kilometers from Fordo, which is dedicated to short-range missiles or drones. Of course, it's worth mentioning that the Hawk missile system, which is now considered one of the advanced systems of the Islamic Republic, is actually a relatively old American system and probably has its own weaknesses as well. And I think now those who are in charge should come up with a solution for these old missiles as well. Because if something is going to happen, if there is going to be a foreign attack, they might not be able to stand up to modern American or Israeli systems the way they should. Of course, that's just my opinion. Maybe you have a different opinion. Now let's go back a bit and see why Fordo has caused so much commotion around the world. The West, especially the US and Israel, say that Fordo can be used to build a nuclear bomb. But Iran has always said its nuclear program is peaceful. It's used for electricity generation or scientific research. But reports from the International Atomic Energy Agency, which mention new centrifuges and advanced enrichment, only add to these doubts and suspicions. Politically, Fordo acts like a powerful lever in the hands of the Islamic Republic. Whenever negotiations get tough or sanctions increase, Iran says, then we'll increase enrichment at Fordo as well. This move boosts the Islamic Republic's confidence and angers the Western countries. But of course, this game comes with its own costs: severe sanctions, inflation, and the threat of military attack. The Iranian people have mixed feelings about their nuclear program. On one hand, some people are proud of it. It represents a scientific advancement and a nuclear achievement. something that many countries are deprived of. But now it's said that Iran has managed to acquire this technology. However, on the other hand, this very nuclear program has led to economic pressures and even military threats. That's why some people are truly passionate about this program. They enjoy it and talk about it as one of their achievements. Others, however, don't feel so positive about it and think that if this program didn't exist, life would be easier. Or they ask, for example, is our peaceful nuclear program really as it's claimed to be? How much electricity is it supposed to generate, or what real benefit is it supposed to bring us? Of course, that's their opinion. I'm completely neutral, not on this side or that side. For now, I won't share my own opinion in this video. Right here, leave a comment. Which group do you belong to? Do you think the nuclear program benefits the country? Or do you think it's a source of trouble and it would be better if it didn't exist? I'll read your comments. Definitely. Fordo isn't Iran's only nuclear facility. For example, Natanz near Kashan has a higher enrichment capacity, but since it's not underground, it's more vulnerable. Or Arak, which was intended for plutonium production but was deactivated under the JCPOA agreement. But Fordo, because of its underground location and heavy defenses, is a different story. If we want to compare the Islamic Republic's nuclear system with the rest of the world, it has a unique and special situation. For example, North Korea has officially claimed to possess nuclear bombs, has tested them, and has shown them to everyone, and, well, is now dealing with its own sanctions. Or the Israelis have never admitted to having nuclear bombs. But, well, the whole world knows the story I've told you before. Everyone knows they have more than 200 nuclear warheads. And, well, everyone is worried about that too. The Islamic Republic has also followed its own path over the years, and Fordo is one of the main pieces in the Islamic Republic's political chess game. A link that, if it didn't exist or were damaged, would probably cost the Islamic Republic dearly, politically or militarily. Now, let's get to the million-dollar question. What will happen to Fordo in the future, and where is it headed? Personally, I can imagine 3 scenarios for Fordo's future. The first scenario, if negotiations similar to the JCPOA are revived, Iran might reduce Fordo's activities and the sanctions could be eased as well. The second scenario, if the negotiations reach a dead end, Iran might increase enrichment at Fordo, which could escalate tensions to their peak and make it a primary target for Israeli attacks. This means that one of the places where you can have no doubt that if, God forbid, an attack were to occur, Iran would be one of the first targets of the Israelis or Americans. There is also a third scenario. The Islamic Republic could, for now, continue with this approach of negotiations for the sake of negotiations, buy time, and use Fordo as a political tool to possibly achieve its intended goals. Of course, each of these scenarios could create a different situation for the Middle East. For example, if enrichment increases and the Fordo site becomes more active, other countries in the region might also be tempted to acquire nuclear bombs so they can defend themselves or keep up with the Islamic Republic in this arms race. On the other hand, if the activities at the Fordo site are somewhat limited or even stopped, it could bring a bit more calm to the region, and the countries in the area might also lower the level of tension. So one of the most important focal points for this region, or perhaps even the world, is this very site that was established near Qom. For me personally, Fordo is on one hand a symbol of national pride and the country's scientific progress, and on the other hand, a symbol of pressure and military tension. There are times when you want to feel happy about your country's progress and its achievement of new technologies. But at the same time, you worry about military tensions, economic pressure, sanctions, and the economic problems faced by the people. Some people believe that the nuclear program is a symbol of inflation, unemployment, and economic pressures, and they say they wish it didn't exist so that life would be easier. Others say that it's a symbol of our independence and shows that we are a sovereign country, and now we can decide for ourselves whether we want to have a certain technology or not. Of course, whether we want it or not, it definitely comes with a cost, and now you have to decide whether you really think it was worth it. That is, for us to gain this independence or get closer to advanced military technology, but in return, be under economic pressure. Or maybe you say that it's okay, we'll endure the economic pressure, we'll put up with these problems, let our lives go by, but in return, we'll join the club of countries that possess nuclear weapons, and in the future, won't have to worry about a military attack from any country. Honestly, I personally would like to know which of these ways of thinking you would choose, and which one do you think is more correct. I'd be happy if you also share your opinions with me and the other friends who are watching this video on this channel so that together we can come to a conclusion about which of these two choices is the better one. I read all your comments and will respond to them as much as possible. Until the next video, take care.